Thank you for joining us. You're listening to the Beyond 50 radio program. I'm Daniel Davis. In a downturn economy, when everybody's focusing on all the negative news that's out there about people not being able to find jobs, companies going down the drain, and of course people losing their life savings, on the Beyond 50 radio program, I'd like to bring more encouraging news. Joining us here on the Beyond 50 radio program today is a family that became very innovative about a food product, simply known as goat's milk, turned it into a nice little industry. Mom, Dad, and 8 children who began making soap, lotions, and the like, and created a nice little business that the family could be involved with. I'd like him to welcome to the Beyond 50 radio program our guest, P.J. Jonas. P.J., welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Daniel.
Now, this is kind of a fun story here. How did all this get started for you guys?
Well, it was really kind of accidental. I had all the children in the bathtub one day, and I was just bathing them and letting
All 8 of them?
Well, it was 6 at the time.
I got you.
Yeah, it was a pretty big bathtub.
I guess.
And they were just playing around, and I picked up the baby wash that I had always used, and for the first time ever actually read the ingredient list. And I couldn't believe that it was filled with chemicals and petroleum-based chemicals and all these things I couldn't pronounce. And I decided right then and there that I was going to make my own soap. And I already had the dairy goats because I wanted the healthy milk for the children. So I knew that the goat milk was not just good to drink, but it's got a lot of really good ingredients that occur naturally in it, things like vitamin A and selenium and the alpha-hydroxy acids. So I knew that it was good for your skin as well. So I learned how to make soap. I just did a whole bunch of research, made soap for the first time. And then when I put it in the shower, my husband's fingers stopped cracking and splitting. You know, and this was a guy who worked outside, his hands, was always in rough shape and tried all sorts of things, and nothing ever worked. And just by putting the soap in the shower, it fixed that problem for him. So I knew I had a really good product. But it wasn't until a couple of years later when we were faced with a budget shortfall that I decided to make some extra and sell it, and that's when the business really took off.
Now, it's just interesting to me that you would think of soap from goat's milk. What was the natural occurrence of that idea?
Well, it's something that when you make soap, you have to use a liquid.
Okay.
So most soap is just made with water. It's the most common ingredient for the liquid portion of it. But I figured that by adding the goat milk, I was going to get all of those good things into the soap as well. Plus it adds all the cream and the proteins, all of that. So it's just got a lot of moisturizing ability, and then it's just natural, so it's really good for your skin.
Uh-huh. Okay, gotcha. And like you said, you did some research into this, and how supportive or how did the family start getting involved? Was it just you on your own as you spearheaded this effort?
Well, when I first started making it for the family, it was just me. It was just something that I would do by myself. But when we decided to sell it and we started getting demand for more of it, then I started recruiting the children into helping me. So I would make the soap, and then they would help me cut it. They would help me get it where it was going to cure. They would help me bag it, and then they were great at helping me to sell it. They were really good at talking to people, telling them about it, and when it was time to, when we did the internet to ship out all the orders and that kind of thing. So it was something that the children and I were doing a lot of, and then the business just really started to grow very quickly, and it got to the point where, we had been doing all this in the house, so my husband would come home from work, and we'd be having a picnic dinner on the floor because there was soap covering everything in the kitchen. So we just kind of said to him that, okay, we're at a point where we have to make a decision. We're either going to keep growing this business and you've got to come on full time, or we have to scale it back and get it back to something that the children and I can handle. And so we had a big family meeting, because the business was growing, but it wasn't really supporting the family completely. And we just all talked about the sacrifices that we would have to make, and we decided that it was something we wanted to do. And so we brought my husband on full time, and it's just been growing ever since.
Now, what kind of sacrifices did you feel you needed to make to grow this business beyond what it was before?
Well, just things like in the budget. There was no room for anything extra. Nobody was buying new clothes. Nobody was getting, we weren't going out for ice cream.
Kids weren't being able to go see Iron Man 2 or 3 or 4.
None of that. Yeah. It was, it was just the basic necessities.
Oh, great. Now, what was it like? That's the fun thing about business. And, you hear so much today, of course, in America, about the broken family. And even when families are together, it's mom, dad usually going off to work. The kids typically aren't involved in budgets, or, they're not really told about money, how money works, and how to be responsible with it. But here you've incorporated an enterprise everybody gets involved with. That being said, you get the innovation, the imagination, the wherewithal of children. What has that been like for the business?
That has been really foundational to the way we've set the business up. Mm-hmm. The children have been involved from every step from the beginning. Right now they range in age from 5 to 16, but when we started, the baby, she was just a baby.
Right.
And we always found things that they could do at their age and their skill level. So my oldest daughter would be the one who would be helping with the customer service, things like answering emails and the telephone. The middle ones, would take care of the goats. The younger ones would bag the soap because that was something they were capable of doing, opening the bag, putting in the soap, adding the business card, and pulling the string shut. So we have really just given them something that they can do so they can be a part of. Whenever there's a decision to be made, everybody gets involved, and even if they don't really have much input, they're listening, they're hearing with some of the options and the things that we're deciding. But one of my favorite things has just been having my husband so much more involved with the children because they're homeschooled. I don't know if I mentioned that, but so they always got my perspective on things, but now they can get his perspective on things
right.
too, and it just gives them a really good balance.
Yeah, I can imagine it would. Now, what are these board meetings like? Does anything ever get a little rough at times?
No. It's great to hear the children come up with some of the questions that they have and challenge some of the things that my husband and I just kind of take for granted that it's going to be doing with because that's the way it's always been done. But they'll challenge the things and be like, oh well, can't we do this? And so sometimes we'll be like, well maybe let's think about that. Maybe we could do it that way.
Well, see, that's what I like about this story, PJ, is that when you think about involving children in a business, is unlike an adult, they lend a perspective that hasn't been tarnished by experience. And there are times that's a good thing.
Yeah, they really are creative and they really have good ideas. And when you give them the foundation to understand that, this is the way business works, this is the goal is, the goal is to ultimately make a profit, but it's
sure.
to make a profit while helping people and while supporting other people. And they get to see us helping other vendors and helping other, suppliers in the area. And when a customer says, one of our favorites when we get a mom who or a grandma who says, I've got my grandchild who, has been scratching from eczema forever, and, they try the soap and, they don't have that problem anymore.
Uh-huh.
And not that it helps everybody, but it helps a lot of them. And the children get to see that, and they get, my 5-year-old just got a handwritten thank you note sent to her.
Oh, that's
personally,
nice.
Because she had filled out the order, she had signed it and sent it out, and someone sent her a thank you note, and so she carried that thank you note around for a week. It had a little blue whale on it, and she just thought that was the greatest thing. So they're getting that understanding that, work is a part of life. You're going to spend the rest of your life working, but if you can find something that you enjoy doing that helps people, then it's not so much of a chore. It's just something that's part of your life and something you can enjoy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it reminds me of the movie Up in the Air with George Clooney. I don't know if you're familiar with this one.
No, I didn't see that one.
Yeah, this is a job. He's up in the air because he flies across the country quite a bit. What his job is, he's with a company whose job it is to go to companies and fire people.
Oof.
Because the boss just doesn't have the spine to do this, apparently. So they outsource the firing part. Anyway, so there's a point where he's firing this one guy. Actually, he's taking along a protege who's thinking of changing the way they do the business. Now, it's bad enough that you have to fire people, but it's even worse when, this new gal decides that her innovation is to fire them over the internet so you can cut down on travel time and expense. Anyway, that being said, he talks as they go to fire this guy. He's like, well, what do I do? And then goes on to talk about being inspiring to his children. What do I say to them? And he points out, he says, well, I doubt that they believe that when you tell them about living their dreams that they're buying this because, how much do they pay you the first year out to give up your dream, And he began to realize that this whole time he was spending doing this job to support his family, and he never was really pursuing his dream. And how do you tell your children, learn to live your dreams, but in the meantime, go out and face the nightmare, which is the world of work, and here you folks are actually doing this.
Yeah, it is really something that we've seen a lot of the children's peers, have this idea that, work is something to be avoided at all costs, and,
right.
You don't want to do it, and you get, parents punish their children with work, and that's not really, our mindset. Our mindset is to embrace it, to give them the skills that they can do whatever they want, that they have the skills and the passion to be an entrepreneur, and if they want to start something of their own, we're going to support them in that and make sure that they can find success doing something that they're passionate about.
Mm-hmm. Now, what are the roles of the different family members in this business? Who gets to be president and who's the janitor?
Well, when we set up Goat Milk Stuff, it was set up that everybody has a piece, and we all have our gifts and things that we are better at. So I tend to be the one who deals with the website and kind of sets the direction. So I guess you could call me the president. My husband's the one, he's making the soap, so he's more of the chief operating officer. My daughter really likes the customer service side of things. The older boys are the farm managers. They take care of all the goats and stuff, and then the little ones just help out wherever they're able.
Right. Okay. But they really enjoy everybody really enjoys being involved in the process.
Well, we do a lot to make it fun. Goat Milk Stuff's not just about, working all day every day. We have contests in the soap room, and we play music, and we, dance and have fun. So it's something that there's,
created a real Google environment, in other words.
Well, in our way, yeah. I don't know about that, but we say we work hard so we can play hard. We try and get the work done, and then they're free to have free time.
Now, on your website, which is goatmilkstuff.com, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. There are, various videos, and you can see, the family and the like there. Now, what I'm kind of curious about, when you got started, this was simply for your family. It was just to get away from the chemicals that are in soaps and shampoos and lotions, all of those things there. What happened where it began to, I guess, snowball where you had more outside interest?
Well, we went to a craft show, and we had some people buy the soap, but what we did was we gave out free samples. And I started getting, that next week, all of these phone calls from people who had loved it and had this kind of the same reactions that my husband did. Their fingers weren't cracking anymore. And then we started getting the calls from the people who had trouble with eczema and psoriasis, and that was a really big part of our growth because, so many of them had to deal with steroid creams and all of these expensive treatments and whatnot, and many of them found that just by switching the bar of soap or switching the laundry soap that they got relief. So that was kind of how things really started to grow.
Okay. And now tell us about the different things that you do have, and are there any, new things coming up on the horizon?
Yeah, well, we started out with the bar soaps. That's our most popular product. And then we just really responded as we had different needs and as, our customers would tell us that there were things that they want. So we started out by adding lip balm, and then we added laundry soap. The laundry soap's really popular because what we have found is that most laundry detergents that you would buy in the store have this chemical added called an optical brightener. And what it does is it tricks your eye into making your clothes look brighter than they actually are.
How about that?
Yeah, and so for that to work, it has to actually bind to your clothes. And that, being stuck on your clothes like that causes a lot of irritation for a lot of people. So we just have an unscented laundry soap. It just, washes really clean, so that's really popular. The solid lotion is kind of like, think like a big lip balm. You just put it on and rub it in, and those are really great. Our newest thing that we just put out is liquid soap. We have that for convenience. A lot of people with skin conditions, the bar soap is actually more mild, but the liquid soap is a little more convenient. So we have that for both, depending on what they want.
Okay. And I also understand that you have a line of pet products. Is that true? Or
we do. We have pet soaps. We have both an unscented and a scented version. It's actually a bar soap, which most people aren't used to using on their pets. A lot of them, tend to use the liquid, but this just rinses really clean, and the scented one helps to repel bugs, and we get lot of. I don't wash the goats, so I haven't really had a whole lot of experience with it myself. But I actually worked with a trainer when we were developing it, and it gets really good reviews.
Great. Now, using this as an all-natural product, I'm sure you started really beginning to kind of take a look at other things in the house that perhaps you've changed too. How has that kind of rippled?
Yeah, we don't use very many chemicals in the house. We don't use bleach. We don't use most cleaners. We're really big fans of vinegar around here. We wash the windows with vinegar and the counters with vinegar, and a lot of stuff like that. We'll actually use some of our soap, the liquid soap, to wash our dishes and things like that. So it's mostly all we use.
Now, do you see this as something that perhaps might make it into stores, or is it going to pretty much stay as an in-house, ship from home sort of a thing?
Yep, right now it's primarily available on our website, like you mentioned, at goatmilkstuff.com, but we recently just moved out of our original home, which we had 3 acres, and we had built a soap room onto the barn, and we've just moved to a bigger farm and built a new soap room and a new barn, and we're almost done with the new house. And once we're settled in here, then it's going to be turning our attention to trying to get into some retail stores so people can have the convenience of going to their local store to find it.
Oh, very good. Now, PJ, have you inspired other families to really take a look at how the family life is and to maybe look about rediscovery?
Yeah, I get emails and phone calls all the time from people looking to do it. It's something that I definitely encourage people to take a look at. I think that it's a wonderful lifestyle. My general advice is that you need to find something that you're passionate about and that you use and that you believe in. Don't look at what other people are successfully selling, because that's not the way to do it. You have to find something that that works for you.
Sure.
And then just start working at it just in your spare time. And it is a sacrifice you to give up your evenings and your weekends, but start figuring out a way to sell it, because marketing is the biggest part of it. You could have the best product, and if you don't know how to get it out there and tell other people about it, you're not going to make any sales, and you're not going to be able to support yourself.
Absolutely true. This is a great story, and, especially in a time when a lot of people are finding themselves phased out, downsized, terminated, whatever the case may be, families really suffering from the blowback of the economic downturn, to actually hear good stories out there where people rediscover themselves and they become inspiring. It's like, be the light of the world, because you automatically give others permission to do the same thing. And, you got this going on. How often do your children reel their friends in to come in and help?
Oh, as often as they can. We're kind of, how in neighborhoods there's usually that house that's the fun house that everyone hangs out. That tends to be ours, because people, the friends love to come over and play with the baby goats and help bag soap, and they think that's a lot of fun. So they tend to come over and get all the work and the chores done, and then go out and play in the woods and the creek and stuff like that.
That's the way kids should be enjoying life, as far as I'm concerned, and adults too as well. Go ahead, PJ, and give out that website again.
Sure, you can find us at Goat Milk Stuff, which is just www.goatmilkstuff.com.
Very good. PJ, thank you so much for joining us here on the program today. What a great story.
Well, thanks so much for having me. This is a lot of fun.
You betcha. Again, goatmilkstuff.com is the place. Find an all-natural soap, lotion, maybe even a shampoo, and not just for you, for your pets as well. You can find that there on the website. We also encourage you to visit us at beyond50radio.blogspot.com. Find out more about that. We'll have a hot link there for you as well. I'm Daniel Davis. Thank you again for joining us. This is the Beyond 50 radio program, and remember, live your day past halfway.